Good evening and welcome to the Wednesday, April 12th, 2023 Planning Board meeting for the town of Raymond. The Planning Board will come to order. The board does have a quorum, and we'll start with holding roll call. Mike, would you start?
Mike Richmond.
Mike D'Arcangelo.
Greg Foster.
Ed Kranich.
Kevin Woodbury.
And Robert O'Neill. This is a public proceeding, and unless the board specifically votes to go into executive session, you have the right to hear everything that is being said and to look at all the exhibits that are presented. Please notify the chair if you are unable to see or hear. The board works from a published agenda and will consider tonight's items in the following order. We have the approval of the minutes of February 8th. Under old business, we have the subdivision review for the Diane Potvin application. Another subdivision review with public hearing for the Stephen and Hilda Clark subdivision. And then under new business, we have a preliminary review for an amended subdivision from Peter and Donna, and I'll mispronounce this one, Mercenuk, is that close?
Marcinek.
Marcinek, thank you. Followed by staff communications and updates. The board, in each instance, the burden is upon the applicant to demonstrate compliance with the provisions of the applicable ordinances or state law. All persons speaking, including representatives of the applicant and members of the public, are asked to stand at the microphone and state their name, address, and affiliation with the application. All persons speaking shall address the chair. Any conversations must be held in advance until after the board has formally adjourned. After the board votes on the merits of each application, it will prepare a written notice of decision, because the notice of decision may substantially affect any appeals rights. And also, as a matter of courtesy, the board asks that those attending the meeting with regard to a specific application not leave until the board has completed its discussion. Appeals from adverse decisions must be filed with the Superior Court or as otherwise provided by law within 45 days of this board's decision. Also, to be certain that you preserve your rights to file any such appeal, you must be certain that the board records evidence of your appearance this evening. Okay, so our first order of business is the March 8th, 2023 minutes. Are there any changes, modifications?
Move to accept as written.
Second.
Moved in second, any discussion? No discussion, all of those in favor?
Aye.
Kevin votes aye, I vote aye, and everyone else votes yes. It passes. Next item of business is the subdivision review with a public hearing for Diane Potvin's application. This is the second time it's been before the board. I think we'll start, Jim, if you could kind of run us through the start, and then Bill, to you, is there, Bill, you can kind of give us another briefing from your side. Is there anyone in the audience that wants to speak at the public hearing for this, that has specific questions? I cannot see the audience.
I don't believe there is, Bob.
Okay, thanks. Okay, Jim, you're up.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. Planning Board members, this is here this evening for final plan approval. Public hearing. This is a 6-acre development, has been before you a few times, as Bob has noted. This is in the LLR1 district, shoreland zoning. Eastern Painted Turtle Road is an existing road and has a DEP permit for the road itself. We provided a number of comments at the last hearing. The applicant has responded. We have a few more comments. I think many of them probably can be addressed this evening. I know one of the larger items at the board, 2 items at the board, was dealing with one, how do we get through identification if there are any vernal pools out here, being that right now is the start of the vernal pool habitat season for egg laying. And the second item had to deal with the overall subdivision of the Potvin parcels. I know we did receive a plan, I got a copy of it here, outlining the Potvin piece as well as the parcel to the north? To the north, yeah, the Clark parcel, which outlines, which was part of the discussion that we had with the town's attorney about, this kind of got out in front of itself, so we want to kind of collectively get it back in so that we can subdivide the bigger lots that were broken out of the original Potvin parcel. So that's before you this evening as well. I think we can wait to go through the various items one by one, and if the applicant would like to add anything, I think this is an appropriate time.
Okay, thanks, Jim. Bill?
All right, not used to these portable mics that you see on the news, so. They wired me up. Bill Thompson, BH2M Engineers. I am the project manager for Diane Potvin. Jim gave a summary of where we've been and where we hope to go, and we've got the 2 new lots that we're hoping to get approved, and again, we're happy to take it a little bit further after the public hearing and go through the items, but I think Jim's summary explains what we're on an existing road with the lot frontages, and the water and septic will be accomplished for each lot. And again, I'll be happy to get into Jim's comments and my summary at your request, Mr. Chairman.
Yep, I think you might as well start in, Bill. Is there, again, there's nobody there that wants to talk?
Well, I think you should just open it up and just do the
Yeah.
formality, Bob.
I agree, Jim. So I'll open up the public hearing for Diane Potvin subdivision. Is there anyone that would like to speak or call in? I will close the public hearing and turn it back over to you, Bill.
Thank you. Again, as Jim indicated, there's been some comments, submissions. Our final plan, the applicant Diane Potvin, Eastern Painted Turtle Road. Our revised plans were submitted March 8th with a cover letter February 27th, outlining what Jim and what the planning board had asked for and trying to answer all of those issues. And again, we're looking for approval for the 2 lots. What I'd like to do first is I had a cover letter February 27th that was part of my packet. And on the second page of that, there's a summary for planning board action. The items that I outlined ahead of that are the questions that the planning board and Jim had asked us to cover. And then the summary for planning board action, I'll highlight what we have done. The HHE 200 forms were submitted for the lots. Erosion and sedimentation control is being managed, outlined on plan sheet 2, erosion control fence and protection for any down gradient areas. All the responses to the fire department have been completed. We have that verification. There is an existing road association that stipulates all lots fronting on Eastern Painted Turtle Road to be part of this association. So when a lot is sold and an applicant is ready to move forward, he or she will be part of that association and re-recorded in the registry. As far as right-of-way, extension beyond this road is not feasible. There is a subdivision to the east of this, but beyond that, there's really no extension that could be built going through the abutting properties. We are preparing, and we have prepared a lotting plan, which outlines the 3 parcels, if you will, the Clark, Potvin, Clark, and then the next one up at Chase, I believe it is. So we have that, which we can show in a second. Final plans outline the exempt lots and the lots requiring approval under this minor subdivision. And BH2M completed the design inspection of the construction of Eastern Painted Turtle back in 2008. So we are certifying this road meets or exceeds the Raymond Road standards. So in Jim's memo, I've covered those, went down through them. Most of them are no issues, no action required. Going down through Jim's memo, the first page, everything just it seems appropriate. No issue, no action required by the applicant. So that's good. Unreasonable burden on the existing water supply. We have a letter from a well driller with the success in that area. There was a confusion on the erosion control. I'm pleased to see Jim read all those notes. And one area says a 1 inch of precipitation requires an inspection. The other said a 1/2 inch. It is 1 inch per DEP. standards, so I'll make that correction. Unreasonable public road congestion or whatever, note that road was built, it's a 50-foot right-of-way, meets all of the road standards for up to 10 lots.
Bill, did we ever, I assume that this road was inspected at some point. Did we verify the depths of material out there?
At that time, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, depth and width and gradation and compaction on the D gravel and A gravel.
And under the homeowners association, are you liable if you disturb because of any construction activity? Are you liable to fix the road, or how does that work?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, there's a road, can't remember what the title of that document is. Everybody has to sign the road maintenance agreement. And I think that outlines, obviously, if somebody's building or developing their lot and it becomes an issue, it's their responsibility to their contractor. So I would say that's covered in the Eastern Painted Turtle Road Association. For all responsibility would be to the particular lot owner during development. So I think that's covered. Solid waste, there was no issues. Unreasonable burden on the municipal services, there was no issues there. Scenic and natural beauty, we've met the criteria. Comprehensive plan zoning, we've met, followed the minimum lot standard and density. Financial capacity, the only work in the roadway is the turnaround that we have to add to meet the fire chief's separation. So there will be a letter. It's a small amount of construction, but the lots themselves are the responsibility of somebody buying it. So there's no financial certification that would be needed, and obviously technical capacity. BH2M has been in business for 44 years, and I think we stand behind our design. So I think we're good there. 100-year flood, there's no 100-year flood on the lots being proposed tonight for approval.
I did have one question on that one, a technical issue, more or less. Because Diane's exempt lot is in the subdivision plan, the datum that you used to establish the flood elevation is, we just wanted to verify that that was the correct datum.
Yeah,
83 versus 29.
Yeah, that's the elevation and the datum that we were given.
Okay.
To confirm to that. Yep. Okay, we got the financial capacity, floodplain issues. There aren't any on this subdivision. Wetlands, we have wetlands mapped, obviously, and the vernal pool season, as Jim said, is coming up soon, and we'll be proposing a vernal pool study for the two lots, and that'll be shown on the plan. So what we've done with the agreement of the town, the planning board, is on lot 2, there's a potential stream. Any of these wetlands that aren't flow-through, or are flow-through, excuse me, would not support a vernal pool. So we have one up here in the corner, and so we asked the planning board, could we show a development concept as if this turns out to be a significant vernal pool? So I have a 100-foot setback, which is required, no disturbance, and then the 250-foot setback on here, you can disturb, I think it's 25%. So I've shown those. I didn't label the two lines, and Jim said it would be nice if that told everybody what it was. The areas are shaded on what would be allowed for a building window. 15% disturbance, lot 1, I've outlined that of a potential building window, driveway location for these two lots, and that represents the maximum area that could be disturbed on these lots. So the only question we still have, and that'll be available soon, we will, if this gets approved, we will assume the worst case, that's a significant vernal pool, and our development will follow the Army Corps and DEP rules. But if it turns out there's no significant vernal pool, then the restrictions, other than the 100-foot setback, would go away. So we still have a 100-foot setback because it is a vernal pool, but the significant part would go away. Talked about streams. There were no streams on this parcel. 15%, we've got that spelled out. We have a phosphorus request and involvement with how to manage that. We are proposing a drip edge treatment around each house, which with our detail needs to be upgraded to have a liner in it. So Plan Note 25 talks about that. And then on the 15% disturbance, Note 17 describes for Lot 1 and 2 that language, and then, of course, the outline on the plan. The phosphorus is a little unique here. I mean, we have an existing road built, improved by DEP, all of the stormwater issues. We don't know what anyone's going to build. They're going to build a house and a driveway. So as far as trying to come up with an exact phosphorus calculation on what, so we did a judgment, I guess, of where they would build the driveways. And in addition to the drip edge, we're proposing buffers. So you get a stormwater buffer here and then along the front, and that is also a methodology to mitigate and minimize runoff from these lots. So they're a little tough, you know. As you know, there's a lot of elevation out there, and tried to work with the grades as the water leaves a driveway or a house.
That in conjunction with the limitation for clearing, right?
Correct. Yep. Yep. So those notes 17 and 25 on the plan. Jim made a reference to a vegetative buffer. Number 3 is channelized. That's an existing buffer the DEP approved. That's all along Eastern. So I wasn't planning on touching it. It met their requirements, and it's as far as I know, it's working really well. So again, we talked about the buffers, the drip edge, proposed pins on the buffers. Yes, we will set them, but until they're established and approved by the planning board, I didn't know what to pin, or didn't want to pin the wrong thing. So there are smaller diameter pins for buffers, and they have a cap on them to say no disturb buffer zone. And we'll set those at separation distance around all of those buffers, assuming they get approved. On the summary of planning board action in Jim's memo, Plan Note 24 about the road association, we should add that, or maybe add another note that all roads in this subdivision shall remain private to be maintained by the developer, on and on and on. That's pretty standard language, and it applies now because it's an existing road served by others or for others, and that should be extended to this plan here. Okay, the lotting plan, I guess we could talk about that. There was a note on the final plan. Well, again, the road, private road meets the up to 10 lots. Sunset provision, Jim talks about when a project's approved, just to finish, so that note can be. The other thing that we have missed, Jim didn't, we need 10% open space. So we are going to have to create, with the participation of these lots, to designate an open space, delineate it, and it'll be so noted in the deeds, and obviously in the final plan. Landscape plan, that's a little unique for subdivision, especially in the woods. Site plans are one thing, you know, for stores and schools, etc. As you all know, this is densely wooded. We have a limitation of what we can clear for a driveway. So I guess if that's something that has to happen, it has to be addressed, I guess.
I think all we're looking for there is just retainage of existing vegetation.
Yeah, okay.
To meet the standard. It's just one of those requirements.
That'd be great, okay. Let me flip open the lotting plan. We can a little discussion to see if we can get to a point of agreement. Here's the Potvin subdivision down on the bottom, showing the proposed lots and the lots that are going to be. Here's the Turtle Cove here. Steve Clark subdivision up here, showing the division. And then the other one, I get his name wrong, it's Chase. Okay, there's a 37-acre lot up here that we didn't survey. There is a survey, and I believe that was done with Diane Potvin in 2014 had that. This lot here, I gotta move up so I can read some of my notes here. Steve Clark, well, Diane Potvin, 41 acres, bought this in 2011. So if this is a lot, this is a lot, and this is a lot, this lot being over 40 acres is exempt from subdivision. So when this was divided, Chase being up here, this lot here, Diane Potvin bought it in 2011 and sold it to Steve Clark in 2021. And then this is Steve's proposal. So we show all the lots there. Nothing's happening on this lot, as far as I know. We have not done any survey on it, but it is identified as lot 29, lot 30, and lot 31. So these lots were designated at some point in time in the town records of those lots and tax map numbers. Diane Potvin, and I believe at that time she and her husband bought this piece of land, and then she acquired full access and title to it by a divorce decree in 2020. And I guess she bought it in 2000. That's she and her ex-husband. They bought this in 2000. In 2020, the courts issued an order that she took control of this. She sold this here in 2021 to Cutler. That is your first division out of this parcel. This was sold Trinward 2022. And that's one of our lots that we're trying to get approved out of this subdivision regulation. So that gives us an overall 3 lots, 29, 30, and 31, and what either is existing or what is being proposed. And hopefully that meets all, or will meet all the requirements that were assumed to be missing, or I was certainly confused. So if we could have some conversation on that and see what else is needed to allow this subdivision and ultimately this one to move forward. That's about what I have for bringing to the board. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Bill. Does the board have questions?
Are the existing houses that are on Eastern Painted Turtle Road or existing lots, will they be part of the homeowners association?
There this lot, yes, the driveway here comes out here now, so they'll be part of it. And then there's a subdivision down here with 4 lots. When and if those are built on, they will become part of that road association also.
Does this road go into the specialty finance?
Yes, it does. Yes. Comes in here another 300 or 400 feet with a turnaround, and then that's it. Yeah, and they're all septic wells and.
They'll have to also be part of the homeowners association.
Correct.
Road agreement.
Correct. Yep.
So while you're at that spot, excuse me, is it possible to set up a right-of-way so that there could be at some point, if that those back lots are developed, there could be a loop road, place 2 in and out?
Yeah, and not really. There's a lot of wetland out here to be able to bring a road down through, and there's open space here for this subdivision. So it would be a pretty significant wetland fill, and
Okay.
maybe even almost impossible to get, because this is all going to be just left undisturbed.
Yeah.
You'll see that in the Clark subdivision.
Yeah, and I think, Bob, too, that's an area we're starting to get in. You can chime into it, and we won't know until we see Mark Hampton's work, but I think there's a few vernal pools out in there that are going to further restrict that
Correct.
as well. And, you know, in one of the rule changes that's coming forth, not that it affects the board, but it will affect many applicants as far as cost goes, is the Army Corps is going to be changing their compensation thresholds. So anything over 5,000 square feet of wetland fill will require compensation, probably starting sometime in May or June.
I haven't heard that yet.
Yeah.
It's 15,000 now.
It's 15,000 now, where they're going to drop it to 5.
Wow.
That's through the Army Corps, so that's going to have some financial burden on some people that, want to fill wetlands. So I think between the vernal pools, the wetlands, I think Bill has a reasonable answer to that question, that it's just not going to be feasible to connect.
Okay, Jim, how does that work? Is that money that comes back?
Yeah, it's money, and right now, I think the rate in Cumberland County is like
It's almost $6
almost $6 a square foot.
square foot.
So if you fill 5,000 square feet, you're writing a check to Army Corps for $30,000.
Okay,
And if you, so if it's 4,999, it's zero. You go 5,000, it's 30,000, or thereabouts. So,
was there some discussion, I think I read somewhere about, there was concern about the family plot, that we needed some special, is that?
yeah, and I think, Alex, you can shed some light on that one, because I think that's a discussion you might have had with Jim Kazafikis, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, the only change that I think that needs to be made is on that waterfront lot. It's currently listed as an exempt lot, but it's actually not. So it should be just labeled as Lot 3, which doesn't change anything. It's already, it's under that 4-lot minor subdivision, so it should be fine.
Alex, as part of the conversation with the town's attorney, are they being required to record this lotting, or what they're calling the lotting plan? Does that need to be recorded with the subdivision, or is this just for town information?
I don't think it needs to be recorded. That hasn't been, that hasn't been mentioned to me at all. So I think just this subdivision plan would be fine.
Should
And
we
then,
make reference?
we'll have it in the record.
Maybe on the plan, we can make reference to it?
Sure.
Because it is a submitted plan to the town, so we can make reference to it. It might be just the easiest way to handle that.
Yeah, thanks. Okay.
Right, anything else from the board? So I guess, Jim, how are we going to approach the wetland / vernal pool with the plans?
Yeah, you're given right now, they presented it as if basically what they've told you is they've mapped it considering that it is a significant vernal pool.
Correct.
So
Right.
you've got the worst case scenario right now. If it comes back and it's not significant and we sign and record and they want to release that restriction, they'd have to come back and amend the plan.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, we're covered.
There's a bunch of small housekeeping things we still need to kind of address. One of them, which is one that one of my engineers found, is that the actual the well exclusion in the shoreline zone is 125 feet. Is that a leftover, Alex, probably from the old Polton Water District standards that's in our ordinance?
I'm not sure. That's a good question. I actually was not aware of that.
I
So
wasn't either, and
I'll have to look that one up.
I don't think it
We
affects.
assumed 100. It won't affect anything.
It won't affect anything, we just need to revise the well exclusion
Yeah,
ring, that's
exactly.
all. It won't affect anything on the plan, again, it's just cleanup.
Yeah.
The other piece of this, the road agreement describes a 15-foot maintenance easement along Raymond Cove Road. Do you know what that is?
I don't. I showed it on this. It was never part of the Turtle Cove subdivision.
Okay.
It does reference that in a deed.
Is that for ditch work? Or
It is for clearing, for site distance.
site distance?
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
But
So maybe we could just put that on this plan, and just,
Yeah.
because this is a recorded plan of that subdivision, so we can just put it on there that.
and put it back on. But the clearing's been done. I mean,
It's been done, but it
this
just-
road is built, and they're coming out here. So
But it's just if it grows up again,
absolutely,
they're on the.
I totally agree with that.
Okay.
Jim, do you have any other housekeeping stuff?
I think it's just the open space that we'll need to see. Obviously, I think everything else in here is, to me, is relatively small cleanup, but the open space, how they want to present that, obviously, we can't sign anything and we can't evaluate that one until we see the computations. But I think you can make it a condition that, staff have an opportunity to review the calculation for the open space and the location prior to the board signing. I assume,
I'd appreciate
based on that requirement, that they want to have the open space have some connection to, in this case, Turtle Cove, so it may impact Diane's lot. I mean, I guess you could do it with easements,
Right.
open space easements over the lot, so it doesn't change the lot area, but it would just be restricted open space.
Yeah, I haven't been able to meet with her, so I
Yep.
want to, but I appreciate a conditional approval, then we can sort that out and bring it back to staff for the signing of the plan. That'd be great.
I mean, the fact is, they have to do it. You can approve it. We can just designate it how and where and just verify the calculation, if the board so wants us to do that.
Wayne, are you all set with everything on this?
Yes, Mr. Chair, we haven't got the E911 addresses on the plan yet, which we should have
Okay.
before we do the final signing. And then, Bill, if you can send me the template for your auto turn for this, for the fire lane,
The turnaround? Yep,
just for verification, please,
sure.
for the file. And then otherwise, we're in good shape.
Okay.
And we've got, just so I can just back check here, we've got so the only one that, as far as the clearing goes, I'm fine with Lot 1. Lot 2, we got to be a little bit specific, because we're assuming that that's a 100-foot setback from the vernal pool. So you are going to be putting, how are you going to do that? You're going to put pins at the buffer for the vernal pool?
Yeah, it'll be treated just like a phosphorus buffer.
Okay.
This 100-foot buffer will be pinned out so that there's no impact.
And I think, like we just said, just delineate what the setbacks are so we know which is which.
Correct.
We can tell, but
Yeah.
somebody's going to look at the plan, they're not going to drop a scale.
Labeling would be,
Yep,
would be helpful.
yep.
Thank you.
So is there thoughts from the board as to how you want to proceed? We could, it seems like most of the conditions we can approve with the condition that the final plot layout be approved by staff, or we can table and we can wait until the final plan comes in and then act upon that at our next meeting. Is there anybody have any suggestions or would like to proceed in a specific way?
I kind of like the idea of tabling till we get the open space figured out and any other housekeeping.
And look at the final plans? I think that kind of makes sense. Bill, I don't think we're going to save you very much time. It's going to take you a couple of weeks, I would think, to get this done anyway. I think the only thing that we probably can do of moving that way might extend the submission for the work, so you don't have to wait 2 months.
That'd be great. Okay, yeah, because I can resolve this pretty quickly. Yeah.
Okay.
The other thing too, I think, Mr. Chair, is that, if we can coordinate with Bill, his staff, we probably could have the plat ready for the board to sign on the night they approve.
Yeah, our next meeting. I would think
Yes.
I think that's probably all doable.
Which is to your point where we probably would be anyway.
Right, and I think it makes more sense not, for the board to be able to look at the final plot that we are approving by kind of
That's fine.
guessing.
Yeah, thank
And
you.
and again, I don't think, as Jim agrees, I don't think it's gonna hold you up at all, Bill, for, a couple of days maybe.
Yep, thank you. Okay.
So Jim, as far as timeline for Bill, how much time do you think you're gonna need to look at that final plot?
I think the biggest item is just really the open space. And, I mean, we've got a pretty refined list here that we have to go through. And Wayne's got a couple small items here.
Yep,
I think we can turn this around in, give us 2 weeks so we get to the board a week before the hearing. I think that 2 weeks prior is more than enough.
That's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
so 2 weeks for the one, and you've got it for a week, and then, Sandy, does that give you enough time to get it out to the board?
Well, as long as I know we're going to do it for the next meeting, I'll make sure I get it in the paper, that it's coming in for final approval for
Okay,
you guys to sign.
Thank you.
And as soon as I get it, I'll email it out to all of you and shove copies in the mail as long as I have a week to do that.
Yeah, because you've held the public hearing portion of this, so it's just.
Correct.
Just the notification for final.
okay. Does anyone on the board not like that plan? Everybody okay?
No, I'm good with it.
Good with it.
Yep. So then we would need a motion to table the Tranquil Cove Acres Hudson minor subdivision application till the May meeting. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second?
If you move, Greg, second?
Greg made the motion,
Those
Mike,
seconds?
Mike D. second.
Yeah, I
It might be
second.
second.
Yep.
Okay. Sorry, Mike, I didn't hear you.
That's all right.
Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
6-0.
Kevin votes yes and Robert votes yes, so we are good to go.
Thank you.
Okay, Bill?
Thank you.
And just an FYI, the next meeting is May 10th.
May 10th. Thank you.
Okay, next up is the subdivision review and a public hearing with the Clark subdivision. Jim, do you want to start us off on this one again with the intro?
Paper switched here.
Yep, the papers.
The plan out. Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is a subdivision for a 5-lot subdivision which abuts the subdivision you just heard this evening. It's located on, how many acres is this? 25? 37 acres overall, with 25 acres to be retained as open space, or was to be retained as open space in the back. I think that's changed a little bit now.
Yeah, again, like the other one, we've got to designate some open space.
You have the area. in
We
this
have plenty of
one. You
area.
have plenty of area in this one.
We'll make it,
Yep. The issue with this one, Mr. Chair, I believe, was the slope of the road coming in off of Raymond Cape. And I know Alex told me that, I believe last night, the Board of Selectmen approved the consent to allow that to go to 10%. Is that correct, Alex?
Yes, that's correct. Nothing's been signed yet, but they are totally in agreement with the 10%.
great.
Again, we have some cleanup work to do on this one. Similar conversations we did the last one. We'll need to see, we have driveway locations on this. And I don't think, again, we'll need to see the phosphorus, make sure we're all clear with the phosphorus clearing limits and things like that. And this one did not have a DEP permit prior, correct?
It needs one.
It needs one. And where are you with that
It's
process?
well on the way. Yep.
Okay.
Comments of all
So we
that.
will need a stormwater permit for this one, Mr. Chair. And I know typically in subdivisions, we typically like to see or have some kind of written correspondence that those are, from the DEP, that those are about to be approved, are approved. So
Right.
typically, we don't make those a condition of approval. So again, we may be in a table situation until we procure that particular permit. But with that, I will hand it over to the applicant to fill in anything I may have missed or overlooked that he wants to include.
No, again, it's Jim's,
Bill, before you start there, can I just interrupt for a second? Alex, the 10%, did the selectmen establish that now as the rule? And if they do?
No,
No.
it would be a consent agreement specific to the Woodstone subdivision. So
But it's
nothing else
It's non-waiverable, isn't that correct?
by you guys.
But
The
it's-
select board has the authority through a consent agreement to essentially bypass any rule, waive any rule. So as long as it's not, conflicting with state law, we can't break state law. But because we're more strict than the state, we're allowed to, waive that through a consent agreement, which is what they have agreed to do.
Okay, thanks, Alex.
Yep.
Sorry, Bill, I just wanted to clarify that.
Okay, just for the record again, Bill Thompson, BH2M Engineers. Yeah, with 5 lots, roadway design, very similar to the other one, other than more lots. Septic and wells, we do have an out sale here. There's a house on there. Steve's sister, I believe, is the owner of that. And the rest of the lots, we've got stormwater filter treatment areas, and DEP, first round of comments, we sent it in, they sent it back, and they're back in their lap now. So we're well on the way. There was nothing significant, but DEP is very busy, overwhelmed, and these lots too will accomplish with some buffers and drip edge foundations. So again, I'll go through all the items like I did last time. If you want to do a public hearing, or
Yeah, I do need to get the public hearing in, Bill, so let's do that just for formalities. Let me open the public hearing for the Stephen and Hilda Clark subdivision. Is there anybody that would like to speak? Anyone would like to call in? Okay, I will close the public hearing for the Stephen and Hilda Clark subdivision. Back to you, Bill.
Great, thank you. Again, Jim's very thorough, got all his permits, his memos. Stephen and Hilda Clark are the applicants looking for a preliminary approval of Woodstone subdivision, as we can move forward with DEP and then come back for a final approval. In my response letter back to Alex, March 2nd, responded to comments, and then like I did on the last one, a summary for planning board action. Things that we're missing, HHE 200 forms are submitted. Erosion control will be managed on the 5 lots, utilizing standard BMPs with erosion control, silt fence, etc. Fire department's been, the response has been accepted. Applicant is preparing a homeowners association and a road association responsibility. Those are in the works, and we will certainly have those before the next meeting. The entire parcel now has a wetland mapping completed. Early on in the process, we had only gone up to a 4-lot subdivision, and then everybody, town and the applicant said, let's see what the whole site has for characteristics. So the entire site has site topography and wetlands. And that impact in that site characteristic would, not really allow a road to go any further than what we have proposed. We do have the turnarounds meeting the fire chief's standards. Again, the lotting plan came up early on. If we need to go back to that, plan note shall be added to the final plan outlining the timeline of the expiration. Start within 2 years, finish in 4. Transformer locations, there are some in there now to serve the first lot. Like any project, CMP or the power company has to weigh in. So we send them a plan and the road plan. They pick the locations based on how many lots they can serve with a transformer. And unfortunately, like a lot of things, the availability of transformers and equipment is really, really bad. We're talking about waiting months to get. So we'll order them early. In Jim's review summary here again, as in the last time, Jim found things were submitted. There were no issues on a lot of things. The well zone will need to be looked at to extend the well zones to 125 feet. We've always used 100, but again, even on this project, it will not impact any of the development. We do have a well letter indicating again is potable water available. And again, the 125 foot will be checked. There was no issue with erosion or capacity of the land to hold water. Again, we picked up the same 1 inch of rain will require inspections, not a ½ inch. Driveway locations for lot 2, 3, and 4, and 5. Lot 1 is missing. Lot 1 is is the first lot out being developed. We can show the driveway, but I didn't include any of the site characteristics other than topo and the roadway, but we can show that just to give a full picture of how the driveways.
Yeah, if you could just give us even a quick outline of where the home is.
Yep,
fine.
yeah.
Just do it
The
by
house
aerial.
is, the house, we can show that, sure. There was no issue with solid waste, no issue with sewage, ability on the town's government, scenic beauty, zoning, we've met all the minimum standards. Financial and technical capacity, that will be submitted. We'll do a cost estimate for the applicant to take to his bank and have that available for review and approval as part of final plan. We've got to take a look again, make sure there's some things that Jim has outlined in the shoreland zoning that we may have missed. But it does say the approval criteria for shoreline will need to be met. So I need to review that a little more after tonight's meeting. HHE 200 forms were submitted with a typical design for each lot. Wetlands, again, we've shown them all the way out through lot 5. And again, vernal pool study will be done for this project also, and see what's happening. Most of these wetlands here are, again, all flow through. They'll still be reviewed, but we don't have any concerns on the development of the 5
Yeah,
lots.
it looks like lot 5 will be the lot that'll be
Correct.
impacted
Yep.
the most.
Yep. Let's see, stream. There is a stream, and Army Corps will need to do a wetland crossing. Yeah, that and any setback issues will be so noted. Stormwater, as Jim indicated, DEP will finish their review, and we don't see any issues with them not approving our design. We have a couple of soil filters to manage the stormwater coming off of this road. I guess that was it for DEP. There's no long-term. We've got iron pins again with the buffers. Pins will be set to identify, and if we end up with any vernal pools, those will also be designated. Lot 1, yes, appears the criteria can be Lot 1 clearing restrictions. That Lot 1 is all developed, so I'm not sure.
Alex, is that one non-jurisdictional because a permit's been issued?
Well, yes. Yeah, I mean, it's part of it, but I think what we would
Just document where it's at?
probably, yeah, we should probably put something on there. Everything's all finished, so there really isn't much we can do about it now.
I think the thing to do would be see if we can have an aerial, like you're gonna pick up the home. Just so the fact that they ever want to expand, they have to understand they have to abide by the regulations of the subdivision.
So the 15% does
Just
not apply?
document where they're at right now.
Okay.
If they're over, then they're over. We won't, bug them, but they won't be able to further expand, basically.
Okay, we'll look at that. Okay, summary for planning board action. The fire department is fine. Road association, as I said, that'll be coming. Notes on there about the limitation of starting and finishing construction. And the applicant was requested to provide, we gave the lotting plan, like I said, and we can pull that up again if you'd like.
Yeah, and I think, again, you've hit the landscape with the no cut,
Yep.
lot limitations.
Yep, well, landscape plan and the open space will be addressed to meet those Article 9 requirements. And with that, I think that brings my detail up, Mr. Chairman, to entertain any questions or further comments.
Thanks, Bill. Is there are questions from the board?
Is there going to be an open space
Yeah.
designated?
They're gonna have to do, I think they'll probably do it on lot 5, I assume.
I would say.
Okay.
Is there a stream here somewhere?
There's one, I think, that was discussed that crosses, Right through Lot 2?
I think it's right here, sir. It really starts right on our lot and comes down through here, so there's no impact. I think the stream starts at a designation here, comes down through, so any setback, we can show this little setback corner here, but
Okay.
it doesn't impact anything. It's more on the neighboring property.
Oh, that's right, too. The one on Lot 2 was a wetland. It wasn't a stream, correct?
Correct.
Yep,
Yep.
we thought it was a wet stream.
That's right, yeah, it was not a stream. Yep.
Okay.
And have you looked at this in relationship? I know there's a lot of overlap to the shoreline zoning requirements. Does it seem to be anything that we need to discuss tonight?
I think the biggest one was the road slope,
Okay,
but I think most of the items have been addressed. I think all the well exclusion and those types of things come out of that shoreline zoning requirement. Alex, too, the septic, you'll have to take a look at the septic, right? Because the septic designs require a higher flow rate, daily flow rate, right? Because it's in the shoreline zone, or do we just restrict that?
No, it's
250.
that only applies to houses within 200 feet
200 or
of a Great
250?
Pond.
250,
So
right?
it's- Yep, 200. Yeah,
Oh, just 200.
just 200, yeah.
So you're all set on
Great,
those.
thank you. Okay, yeah, good to know.
And Mr. Chair, this is before you tonight as preliminary. I know they have some items to clean up, but I don't think you're going to see anything substantive changes to the plan with any of these items they need to clean up. So again, it's up to the board. I think we would offer that it makes some sense to grant preliminary so they can move forward with their DEP permits, because, you know, we don't want to make any wholesale changes to the plan at this point, because it'll impact the DEP permit. And I don't see anything in the road design that's going to change anything. The 10%, you have a pending consent agreement with the town council, town select board. Alex, will they, what action do they need to do to finalize that?
I think at this point, the town attorney was going to reach out to Diane Potvin's attorney to discuss the consent agreement. And I know they've seen it already, but I think the next step would be to make sure that they are good with that. And I'm not sure if it will be signed by Potvin and Clark or how that's going to work, but essentially they need to sign, we need to sign, and then that's good to go.
So I do think that this board will want to see that signed consent agreement before it can vote for final.
Yeah, I
Good
agree.
point.
Yeah, we agree.
So we could give it a preliminary.
It's up to you, it's up to the board at this
What?
point.
Jim, if we go
Yeah.
preliminary, I just feel slightly uncomfortable that we have not gone through the shoreline zoning step by step or item by item. I mean, your memo is
And you wouldn't typically,
thorough.
we wouldn't typically do that till final, but that's okay.
I know that we wouldn't, but, and I know we will go through final. I guess if you've looked at it and you don't think there's any holdups in there, I guess that's okay with me.
I don't see, I think we've tried to incorporate them as we've done the subdivision review. We haven't gone through, as we said, step by step, but I think
Right.
we've incorporated the standards that are applied to the shoreline zone in the subdivision itself.
So I guess if we went with preliminary, and I would say I would like something in there that we have not specifically looked at the shoreline, as of the date of the preliminary, we haven't looked at the shoreline zoning yet. I don't anticipate a problem, but I think that might just be, make sure everyone knows where we are.
Right, and again, you're only preliminary. I think you can put that in there, that this is subject to final and shoreline zoning approval
Right.
before the plan's final.
Yep. Any thoughts from the board?
No, I'm good with that.
Makes sense.
Sounds good.
Sounds good to me.
Okay, so then, just go ahead and do this. So the motion would be to grant preliminary approval to the Stephen and Hilda Clark's major subdivision, pending review, pending receipt of DEP, review of final plot, and review of the shoreline zoning ordinance requirements.
Also, the
Also
slope
the-
requirement, the
consent
10%
agreement.
Slope, the consent.
Right, and the consent agreement, correct. Thanks.
And if I could, Mr. Chair, just items outstanding in the review memo. Any
Thank
else?
you.
Yep.
Yep, and items outstanding in the review memo. As a friendly amendment. Anything, did I miss anything else?
Does your motion include a depiction of open space?
Yes.
That's in the
would be
review
on the
memo.
spot.
Great.
Thanks, Mike.
Wayne has his hand up.
Thank you. Wayne?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we had a couple of small items for like the E91 addressing notes, the fire lane language in the HOA document, and again, the auto turn calculations being submitted to us for the file.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I just make it the same thing, that it has to comply with Wayne's April 7th memo.
Okay. Sandy, did you get all that from that motion for 5 different people?
Oh, she's good.
I got pretty much most of it. I'll go back and look at this when I'm doing it.
All right. Is
So
that a
moved.
Motions by committee. Is there a second?
Second.
Thanks, Kevin.
All right, who was my so moved?
Greg,
Moved it. Oh,
I
Greg.
thought so.
Kevin seconds.
Yep, got that.
All right. Are there any other discussion?
No.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
I vote yes. Motion passes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bill. And we will move on to our last item, which is a new business. Pull up here. Which is the Gaybrook Lot Number 2 subdivision amendment to the Spiller Hill. By Peter and Donna, I'm gonna mispronounce again. Marcinup, did I get that right this time?
Marcinick.
Marcinek.
Yeah,
Mark.
Arsenic.
Marcinup, sorry, Peter, did that. Horrible. Jim, would you start us off?
Sure. Mr. Chair, you have before you a proposal to basically break another lot off of tax map 15, lot 123C. This came before you, I believe, in 2014 to do a very similar thing. At that point, it was a backlot driveway. Tonight, you have another request to break off another one, so this would be the second amended subdivision. This is off of Viv's Way. It's a backlot driveway. We did provide the board with some comments with regards to kind of the lot configuration and so on. Let me break out my plan here, excuse me. Under our backlot provisions, I do believe that they would have the opportunity to access the current lot from the backlot driveway. This would be the final lot that would be allowed access. Any further after this would require that Viv's Way be brought to private road standards, which for 4 to 10 lots is not a substantial change, but it is a little bit wider travel way. The applicant currently would gain access, or gain lot frontage off of Viv's Way. Personally, from a lot configuration, I would like to see that lot moved so that it had frontage on Spiller Hill Road, but access off Viv's Way, just to make it a little bit cleaner and not have this corridor kind of wrap around the lot with strange configuration. I believe they have submitted, I don't know if they did or not, HHE 200?
Not yet.
Not yet, okay. And also, Alex reminded me today that depending on where the driveway is located will dictate where we claim lot frontage. That was one of the front yard setback, sorry. That was one of the changes we just made in the most current ordinance changes, because this could be considered a corner lot. With that, I'll leave it over to the applicant to complete anything they want to add to this. But the lot would be 3 acres, which exceeds the zoning standard.
There's Peter would like to speak as the applicant, and then I'll fill in anything we need to.
Good evening. My name's Pete Marsnick, and my wife Honor and I own the land there on Spiller Hill. And we are proposing a second amendment to a subdivision plan, and looking at subdividing a 3.01 acre lot off our existing 22.32 acres. This will go to a family member. His name's Jacob Marsnick. And I guess one thing I do want to change, it did say 112 Spiller Hill, and certainly it's 10 Viv's Way is our address. Viv's Way is named after my mother-in-law. Anyway, and so just so I could make a comment on the lot configuration, originally working with Andy Morrill, PE, professional engineer with BH2M, we were going to do 2 lots until I did find out the fact that we'd have to upgrade our driveway to at least 16-foot width. So I said, well, we'll go back to 1. And we were going to use land on the right side of the driveway and have some land wrap around on the Spiller Hill frontage to get the acreage for that first lot. The proposed lot actually was the second lot, which is now the single only lot, which I'm looking.
You gotta start over.
So maybe you can hear me better. So anyway, there is just one lot. Actually, I think the proposed lot where it is very friendly to the natural resources in respect to there's very minimal, if any, hydric soils or wetlands on the proposed subdivision lot. Basically, that corridor along Spiller is the unnamed tributary to Gay Brook. That whole brook runs right down through there. And in the very back of the proposed lot is another wet seep that runs into the unnamed tributary to Gay Brook. So pretty much this lot, in fact, we'll confirm that with a soil scientist and site evaluator on any wetlands on the proposed subdivision lot next week. He'll be out, and we're going to be he'll be looking at mapping any wetlands, their or vernal pools, as well as doing a site evaluation for subsurface septic disposal. So anyway, that's all I have, and certainly have Bill Thompson representing me tonight through BH2M. So I appreciate you being here.
Thanks, Peter.
Yeah. Is there any questions for me as the direct applicant before we move on?
Yeah, again, Bill Thompson, BH2M Engineers. As Peter said, he knows there's some steps that we need to take. We wanted to introduce it. It is an amended Second Amendment, and all the notes relative to that will be on this plan and the proposed family division. We know we need to do the HGG 200, locate a well zones to show on the plan. We need to get a letter from the Maine Historic Preservation Commission, and Peter will submit a financial capacity. Given the existing conditions of the road and all, there's not going to be a lot of site development needed, which is good, and enable him to come up with another lot for a family. And as we get those details on the plan, we'll come back and see what the fire department comments will be and address any clearing limits and landscaping. And it'll be sometime in a month. Thank you.
Bill, I have a question for the applicant.
Yep, sure.
Is that front I'll call it corridor between Spiller Road and what you have proposed, does that meet the definition of a stream in there? Because it did mention that there was a stream. Is that,
In here.
could that possibly be a stream by definition?
That's what we're gonna be looking
Is
at.
that
Yep,
the stream?
that's what we're gonna look at. Yeah,
Oh, it's
get-
definitely a stream. That's a year-round
Oh,
running.
it is, okay.
Unnamed.
I haven't been on site yet.
Then we'll have to
Yeah.
just make sure you just establish the
Setbacks.
DB setbacks.
Sure.
Yep,
Yep.
correct.
That's why it's not, that's land that I'll retain as owner and not part of the
Yep.
subdivision. In fact, any of the development which will put the house lot and subsurface, disposal on there next week, but it's gonna be limited to the first 200 feet of that lot, and anything in the back could be used for open space.
It just may affect your building envelope
Sure.
slightly.
Yep, and we'll check stream and setbacks.
The other item I received today was, there was some concern about the radiuses on the entrance of the Viv's Way. I think the fire department may have some concerns about that as well.
Over here.
We're putting another residence in there just to make sure that we have enough turning radius to get the larger vehicles in there.
Yep, we can measure that
I
out.
know there's a culvert in there, but I think it's
Yep.
pretty tight, where it comes into Spiller Hill Road.
Okay,
And I'll leave it to the board if they have any other questions.
They have to get a DEP permit to widen the entrance to Viv's Way.
They may have to get a permit by rule to extend, possibly. I don't know. I don't know if that stream is considered stream on the other side of that culvert. It all depends on the,
yeah, when we get the evaluation for septic and wetlands, that'll be a,
yeah, they can go up to
Determined.
75 feet with a culvert
Yeah.
length, so
Oh,
they could get it.
yeah, the
just
permit by
a-
rule could be easily
Yeah.
accomplished.
Yeah.
I think the stream crosses Spiller further down, doesn't it, Peter? Not right at your property. Right,
Yeah, it's traveling along the road, but to your point, I don't think it crosses further
Cross
down.
further down here.
yeah.
Yeah.
It does, yes.
But I think this is like the headwaters of the major portion of the stream.
Yeah, pretty much. At the top of Spiller Hill, that stream starts, and then it does cross underneath Spiller, and it also crosses underneath Spring Valley Road. Yeah.
Is it possible that we could have some contours with either LiDAR or something?
Sure.
Just so we could have some kind of understanding of how the
Grading.
land works.
Yep, we can get LiDAR topo.
I think that would help us understand probably make some sense now with the layout of the land, if we could just see
Sure.
the contours.
Okay,
Does the board have any questions?
I'm good.
And this lot will have to, I understand it's kind of a family development in there, but we will need to see that you have some kind of road or driveway agreement. I know you probably don't have any intentions, but if you ever were to sell one of these, obviously, that person would have to be,
Yeah.
so.
yeah, we can come up.
So the 3 parcels, we'll just have to have an agreement with the 3, each signed that agreement.
Right, yep, for the road maintenance, whether they share it or whether one party's taking care of it all. We don't care about the content.
Yep.
We just want to make sure that the owners have an agreement in place, correct? Yep.
Can I ask, with the stream going down that little area between Spiller Hill Road and the proposed lot, would it ever be possible to use that? And I'm not even sure that we would be concerned about it, but I guess I'm just a little wondering if that would ever be used as frontage, or could ever be used for frontage for a back lot, creating kind of a funky lot.
Well, they have a back lot now, so Alex, you can help us out here, but I think once you have one back lot on the property, I don't think you can get a second back lot.
Okay.
So I think they've tapped out that option, unless they were to convert this to a private road,
A higher level road.
higher level road, then they might have that opportunity. The other thing would be is if they did that, again, with a DEP permit, avoidance and minimization, might be an issue where you have 2 crossings on the same property where they could, if this were upgraded to a private road, DEP would prefer that rather than having 2 crossings.
Right,
Okay.
So I
Right,
mean,
thanks.
that's a ways down the road, but good question.
or maybe never.
Wayne, did you have anything else of concern?
Sorry, talking without the mic. Looking at the map, it talked about there's areas of the road that are only 12 feet wide. Is that correct?
That's correct.
12 to
12 to 15 feet wide is what the existing conditions show.
Okay. Now, the 12, when we get to 12 feet, that's starting to be a concern. And then the only other thing would be, you know, we got to take care of E91 addressing, as we know.
Yep.
And for fire protection water supply, I mean, at this point, it doesn't make sense to have somebody put in a cistern, but in lieu of that, we usually look for a sprinkler system in the house.
Right. Where it's the new lot that comes in the subdivision or ordinance requires that. The other thing, and I did have in the memo, but I think the board, you may want to request a waiver for the open space. I know this is part of a larger subdivision.
Yeah.
I think in some case, you know, I don't think it makes, in this particular case, I can't see where it's a family compound that you need to retain open space. I think that's something the board could consider to waive. We haven't typically done that on amended subdivisions in the past.
Why do you think we would need to do that, Jim? Waive
Well,
the open space?
Without looking at the whole overall subdivision, the overall
Yeah.
subdivision may have retained open space, I don't know. But usually on these amended subdivisions for one lot, we haven't been requiring the open space of 10%.
Oh, I see what you're saying, okay.
I mean, they could, you know, if they have that stream, for instance, you know, they could put a buffer around the stream and call that open space, but I just don't think it's as meaningful in a small amendment like this as it does with a new subdivision.
Mhm.
Particularly
Okay.
since the original subdivision larger probably has it anyway.
Probably had it, but I mean, I don't know, that one may predated some of our,
Well, if
that's,
it was expanded, you could do one.
right.
Okay.
Okay, does the board have any other questions? Bill, do you need anything else from the
No,
board?
would you like, we know what we need to do, is some additional services, studies, and get back as soon as Peter's ready.
Does the board want to do a site walk?
Any takers?
It's kind of straightforward application.
I can tell you that I kind of walk by this almost every day.
All right, we're gonna go Caesar. Do you go thumbs up, thumbs down?
And all around it.
Yeah, and Greg drives by it every day.
I do.
Yeah, I mean, they have a
I
large
walked on some of it.
parcel of property. The only thing I just, you know, they do have a large parcel in the back, and I just hope that whatever we do, we don't, you know, limit them to future development, but that's the owner's prerogative.
Yeah. So going forward, I mean, just kind of procedurally, we could have a vote. Bill, if you wanted this to deem the application complete, and then tabled, or we could just kind of move.
Yeah, that would be great if you could, yeah. Yeah.
Would you rather have that?
Yes.
Okay. Jim, are we close enough as far as you are concerned, deem the application complete?
Yeah, I think, you know, obviously, we have control to the final plan, so I think we can deem it complete.
Okay. I don't want to jump here. Does the board have any other questions on the application?
No.
Okay, then if not, can I get a motion to deem the application complete?
So moved.
Second?
And second, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Evan votes yes, and I vote yes. Then we would also need a motion. Motion to table until the next meeting, or until actually just table, no next meeting. So
Table
when
till
do
you
you
have
plan on doing this?
Yeah,
Yeah.
table till you have till the applicant has the materials
Right.
available.
Right. We'll probably
Table-
make the June
It'd
meeting.
probably be June, I'm guessing, at this point.
Okay. So a motion to table the application until updated documentation is submitted.
So moved.
Have a move a second?
Second?
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Kevin votes yes. I vote yes. Motion passes.
Great. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Peter, I'll get your name right the next time.
See how you walk by his house and you can read it right on his mailbox.
Yeah, I talk to Peter like every once a week.
Arsenic.
He'll quiz me. He'll quiz me as he goes by next time.
Billy, you can leave that right on the podium.
Okay, under staff communications and updates. Alex, you have anything for us?
Bill, if you can't get off a shirt, you have to leave your shirt, apparently.
Yeah,
You need a new
I just
shirt?
have,
Yeah,
Come on, Cole, we got
too big for me, but it'll fit somebody.
business still, folks, sorry. Go ahead, Alex.
I just have two things on update. The first one is the ordinance amendments have gone through the select board process and they're now on the warrant for June. So everything's all good there. That has moved on to its final stage. And the last step is now town vote. So nothing changed after it left your hands. It's still all exactly the same. And then the second piece is the Boulder Bend subdivision has started. They started last week with site work, and they're going to be spending the next couple of months or month or so at least doing the preliminary site work down there. No idea on when they'll be pulling permits or anything, but it's now moving. So now those two subdivisions that you guys did last year are both in their early stages. The first permit was issued for Raymond Hills. So they are actually building. I think we have a foundation inspection later this week up there. So yeah, that's it. That's all I got.
At this point, we have, according to Sandy, we do not have any new applications, but they still have another week, is that correct? No?
No, it's,
Today? You're off, Sandy.
Sandy, you're muted.
You're still muted.
now you're back.
Try it again.
There you go.
Yeah.
It's always the day of our meeting,
Okay.
but we can give them extra time like we did on the first application if it's an ongoing.
But we've had no other interest of applications coming forward, so at this point.
Nope, nothing I've heard of.
So the other order of business is we do have a plan this evening for Ball Drive amended subdivision that we need to sign before you all leave. So if you could sign that,
Please.
please. Thank you. And then we'll leave that for Alex or Sandy to pick up and get the other board members who either were not here or are on remote.
Yeah, we're just gonna go with the majority on that, Jim.
Okay.
Ed's gonna sign for me. As acting
I'm looking
chair.
for, there's some extra copies, I think, for the two,
Oh, that was for the two board members that weren't here,
yeah.
Bob and Mark, for BH2M, the lot division.
Yeah, are they?
Yeah, you can
You just leave those, they'll pick them.
leave them and they'll
For
get
Alex
picked up
and
and I'll
Wade.
mail them out.
Are there two more? Are those two additional ones?
No, these are mine, these are my other things.
Well, I won't mail yours, Bob. I'll hold on to it.
Yeah, I'll be back on Saturday.
Oh, okay. Getting closer.
Yeah. Fighting DC traffic today.
Oh, fun.
We
So,
will have,
other than that, I have no other business at this point.
okay, we will have the Diane Potvin most likely on the next agenda.
Yes, we're gonna put the ad in the paper for that one.
And is it, since the Alliance went at a very long meeting, is it too early to start looking at ordinance changes that we need to do? Or where do we, actually,
Can
we
we-
should have an ordinance, a new binder, shouldn't we?
I just want to get the ones we just did passed first.
Yeah,
Right?
You're getting anxious, Bob.
gotta move it along.
He's getting well rested from his vacation.
But I think, as always, I think Alex and I would appreciate if you as board members, if you see things in the ordinance or, hear of things. I think the one Bob, we probably can do a little bit of work on in the void here is ADUs, accessory dwelling units. I mean, I know there's some more legislature that's going before the state with those accessory dwelling units, so those are something that we probably can start thinking about.
Okay, because I don't have my notes in front of me, but I think we tabled a couple.
Right, that was one.
And that was one, right?
That was one.
Okay.
And the other, I think we may want, Alex and I were talking a little bit today, probably we want to consider that 10% on shoreline zoning roads.
Oh, maybe you.
So we don't have to do a consent agreement, so we can be in compliance with DEP.
Maybe you weren't here for this.
Yeah, that's a good idea. That should be a pretty easy one.
Yeah, it should be easy one.
I don't either. and I was-
Okay, does anyone else have anything?
Move to adjourn?
There's a motion to adjourn, is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I vote aye, it passes. Thank you, guys.